Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a truly remarkable piece of source material. It breaks down the true story of a teenager who faced a split-second decision that most of us can literally only dream about, or, maybe have nightmares about. The story is called The Boy Who Returned $1 Million. So let's just get right into it.
$1 million. I want you to just picture that for a second. Imagine literally stumbling across $1 million in cold hard cash. What would you do? I mean, it's an unbelievable amount of wealth to just find sitting around out in the wild. Keep that exact number in the back of your head because the sheer weight and gravity of this discovery is really the engine for everything we're going to explore today.
Okay, let's dive into this. It starts on a bitter, cold winter morning in New York City. The air is freezing, the streets are dead quiet, and the sun is barely creeping over the skyline. It's the kind of morning where you absolutely just want to stay warmly tucked under the covers, but life and responsibility call.
Part 1. A Cold Winter Discovery. Meet our young protagonist, a 14-year-old boy named Noah. Now, Noah isn't sleeping in like a typical teenager. He's out delivering newspapers every single morning before school. And he doesn't do this grueling work just for extra pocket money to buy video games. He does it to help his struggling family. He already knows the deep value of hard work, and he intimately knows what it feels like to have to stretch every single penny.
So, Noah is walking his usual route, trekking right through Central Park. It is completely deserted. Suddenly, out of the corner of his eye, he notices something entirely out of place. Just sitting there under a park bench, completely abandoned, is a black backpack. There's absolutely no one around, no owner running back for it. Just a lone, mysterious bag sitting in an empty, freezing park.
This brings us to the inciting incident. First, he looks around. Is it a trap? Did someone just walk away? It's completely quiet. Driven by natural human curiosity, he unzips the bag. And inside, staring right back at him, are literal, physical stacks of cash. Over $1 million. You can imagine, his heart instantly starts racing.
Part 2. The $1 Million Dilemma. Now, what's really interesting about this dilemma is that this is where the pure humanity of the story lives. Looking at that cash, Noah whispered to himself, "This money could change my family's life." Think about those freezing morning newspaper routes and his family's financial struggles. That money, that's instant freedom. But countering that is the stark, undeniable truth. It didn't belong to him. It's a strong internal ethical compass clashing with a very real, very desperate need.
So, what does he actually do? Overcoming that massive temptation, instead of taking it home, Noah hoists that heavy bag onto his shoulder and carries it straight to the nearest police station. He didn't take a single bill for himself. And as you might guess, when a 14-year-old kid walks into a precinct and drops $1 million on the front desk, the police officers were completely, utterly shocked. No way, right?
Part 3. A Crucial Christmas Payroll.
Meanwhile, fast forward just a few hours later, and a frantic businessman rushes into that exact same police station. He is absolutely panicked, breathless. He explains to the desk sergeant that he had accidentally left a black backpack in the park earlier that morning.
What was that money actually intended for? Well, this wasn't just spare change for some billionaire. That $1 million was payroll. It was meant to pay hundreds of hardworking employees right before Christmas. Without this cash, many families would have literally gone without food and gifts during the holidays. To put that into perspective, the ripple effect of that lost backpack would have been absolutely devastating to hundreds of innocent people who were counting on it.
Part 4. The Priceless Reward.
When the police told the panicked businessman who actually found his bag, he was stunned. He just couldn't believe that a young teenage boy had voluntarily returned every single cent. And naturally, a story this incredible, it doesn't stay quiet for long. It spread across the entire country like wildfire. National news channels picked it up, they came out and interviewed Noah, and suddenly millions of people were praising this teenager's unbelievable honesty. He became an overnight symbol of integrity for the whole nation. Let's move along and see how this builds, tracking the events. That morning, the money is found and turned in. A few hours later, the desperate businessman recovers his backpack, saving his employees Christmas. But then, a week later, there's a beautiful surprise. The businessman travels directly to Noah's school and calls for a special assembly. Standing in front of all of Noah's peers, his teachers and his friends, the businessman calls Noah up to the front. And as a profound, life-altering thank you, he hands Noah a full college scholarship, completely paying for his future education. Furthermore, he hands him a generous check right then and there to help his struggling family. The universe, through this incredibly grateful man, rewarded Noah's integrity in a way he could never have imagined.
As he handed over the check and the scholarship, the businessman smiled and said something that really anchors this entire explainer. He said, "Money can be lost and found, but honesty is priceless."
Noah's life changed forever. But actually, scratch that. It wasn't changed by simply finding $1 million in Central Park. If he had secretly kept it, his life would have changed, sure, but in a dark shadow of guilt and paranoia. His life was completely transformed by choosing to do the right thing. The choice is what held the real power, not the cash in the bag.
And that perfectly distills down to the core lesson of our source material today. Honesty opens doors that money never could. $1 million might buy things, but Noah's honesty bought a community's respect, a national platform, a fully funded education, and most importantly, a completely clear conscience. It's a fantastic reminder that the choices we make when no one is looking ultimately define our true opportunities. So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. How will your honesty open doors in your own life today? You might not find $1 million sitting on a park bench anytime soon. I know I probably won't. But we will absolutely face choices every day between what is easy and what is right. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope Noah's story stays with you the next time you're faced with a tough decision.